Lisa Rasmussen, LISARASMUSSEN, and I am the chairman of the Public Health and Safety Committee.
Okay. And then if you just wanted to look at me, not the camera.
Okay.
So what was decided in regards to, I believe it was agenda item 4 in regards to the exotic animals and what can and can't be
Sure. Well,
considered a pet?
the committee recommended adoption of the last draft of the exotic animal ordinance that it had considered, which is, I would say, far improved from the initial version where many things were excluded, including a number of reptiles and amphibians that people commonly keep. And so after some interaction with the public, we've gotten quite a bit of public feedback. We've gotten some input from the Central Wisconsin Herpetological Society. After our interactions with them, we went back and revised the proposed ordinance to include a number of animals previously excluded. And we've also created a permit process so that if people are in possession of a snake of a certain length, that they could secure a permit to keep that animal, just so that the environment that it's kept in is safe and that the public at large surrounding it is safe. So the version they adopted was actually widely accepted by the folks who had come in to talk about the first version of the ordinance that were largely opposed to it. And I think now the next step is that the ordinance will go to the city council for final ratification. We expect that'll happen the second Tuesday of June, and we'll go from there. But what we've actually recommended for approval is a big improvement over where we began.
Okay. So then under this new or the second proposal that was accepted, what animals are allowed under that?
There's a list published in the ordinance, and folks will need to consult that list in the Wausau Municipal Code if there's questions. And it's a very long list, so for me to run that list down for you tonight, there's not time for us to talk that long. But the one thing that spurred this discussion in the first place is that foxes are off the list. And so a pet fox is kind of how this process began. And the pet fox, or keeping animals that can't be vaccinated for rabies, animals commonly found in woodland settings, those are not going to be acceptable. So this proposed ordinance does address that situation, but it does also allow animals that people do hold as pets that were, I would say, included in the original version of the ordinance that was perhaps way too restrictive. And so the one that we're adopting now is much improved.
Okay, so basically, if I get this right, that the animals under the second ordinance, the animals that can't be kept as pets are animals that can't be vaccinated for rabies.
Right, or large animals that one would require permits to keep. I mean, the list is intentionally long because as soon as you don't include one particular species on the list, that then creates a loophole. And so the list is long, and it includes a lot of pets or a lot of animals that no one would try to keep as a pet anyway. And I know that there's been comment on the ordinance, well, who wants to keep a hippopotamus or who wants to keep an elephant? Those things need to be included on the list so the list is encompassing of creatures that you don't want to find in domestic settings. So it's a long list, but it does also get to the things that people commonly want to keep as pets but should not be.
And I know this amended ordinance almost passed at your last meeting, so what were the specific changes between last month and this month that the committee liked enough to approve it?
We had asked for some clarifications. We had asked that sugar gliders be added back in. We had created then the permit process for snakes in excess of a certain length, where people can apply for that permit and get that on a case-by-case basis. That possibility did not exist in the first two versions of the ordinance. So in response to a lot of the public feedback we got, we wanted to find a way to work with people and yet get where we needed to be on the restriction.
And then what was the slight change that was made in committee today that seemed to involve another ordinance as well about dangerous animals?
Right. We eliminated some ambiguity. We already have a dangerous domestic animal ordinance, and you saw 2 hearings tonight as a result of dangerous or prohibited dangerous animals, where domestic animals attack or cause injury. And so 6 words were removed from this restriction, prohibited creatures, because our dangerous domestic animal ordinance already addresses those. So we didn't want any lack of clarity or overlap in there.